Welcome to an all-new episode of Work in Progress with John Lane and Will Barfield. This podcast explores leadership traits under stress with a special guest each week. We use a simple and accurate OAD assessment to identify key personality traits or superpowers, as well as the shadow side, Kryptonite traits that appear when we're under stress. As always, we'll have some pod banter, shameless plugging, and we'll even let our guests talk for a bit. Of course, no humble brags. Welcome to the show. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Work in Progress with John Lane and Will Barfield. We are the podcast of choice. We appreciate you being here today. Will, good to see you. You're wearing purple. What's happening?
Yeah, well, our guest is such a bright light that I wanted to wear bright colors today. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen you in anything other than North Carolina branded clothing. So this is a nice upcharge for you.
Well, yes, and you have seen me in company logoed clothing. So
that is true. That's true. You're always sporting somebody's logo. Well, you know what time it is? It's shameless plug time. Guess what I have in my hands?
Oh, I bet it's Wegmans generic seltzer.
Only the finest. Wegmans plain seltzer. Hey, Wegmans people, sponsorships are available. Just go to our webpage. Actually, we don't have a webpage, but
we don't.
You can get us. You can find us, Wegman, if you want to get this huge podcast audience. So I'm pleased to have them.
We can afford to have a webpage if Wegmans would support us.
That is. See, now you're talking sense, brother. I can tell this is going to be our best podcast because you are on today. You're kind of usually a step behind, right? Me and the guest, but today I think you're on
it. Is this purple or lavender?
I don't know. I can't tell. I'm colorblind. And just so you know, we are recording. Just so everybody knows, I'm John Lane.
I'm Will Barfield.
And we are a work in progress.
Work in progress.
With all that comes with that. So let me introduce our guest today. We're going to try a little video magic. Please welcome to the show, Larry Long. There's our friend.
Having a beer, gentlemen.
There is our friend. It is so good to see you, Larry. In case
can you hear me? Is this thing on?
He's got his mic. I was going to call that up later. I always got two of them.
Come on, John. You don't know me well. Huh?
I know you. I was going to call that joke up later. So now when you're talking, I got to think of a joke for later in the episode.
It's
Larry, in the small quiet. Larry's talking. Oh my God, he's ready. In the small case that there's somebody who's watching this episode that doesn't know you, right? Because our universes are pretty tight. Tell the audience who you are and what you do.
Oh my goodness, where do I start? Well, hey, in a nutshell, John, Larry Long Jr., I'm the CEO, not your traditional CEO, but Chief Energy Officer of LLJR Enterprises, on a mission to really help individuals and organizations take their respective games, personally and professionally, to that next level. Now, how do I do that? I do it with one of my microphones, keynote speaker. I'm an MC, I'm a coach, I'm a trainer, I'm an author, I'm a workshopper, you name it, but really in the spirit of helping people elevate.
That's amazing. So, Will, I kind of feel like Larry should be interviewing us.
Yeah. So I'm going to take the rest of the podcast off.
Yeah, you take it off.
Just like every time.
So Larry, great to have you on. We really appreciate it. Thanks for introducing yourself. An OAD survey, which only takes 5 to 7 minutes, produces a chart that looks like this. Larry, I'm obligated to do this every week to say, special guest, how does it feel to be reduced to a simple table?
The story of my life, John.
Yes, sir. Wegmans. Sorry.
Shameless plug. I like that.
Actually, I got a text from Wegmans. They said we're in, but I got to keep plugging them. So I may have to interrupt the flow of this. All right, let me break this down for the good people at home. So the way the OAD survey comes out, we're just going to touch on a little bit of it. This little median point is the median. Anything to the right is dominant. Anything to the left is subordinate. So in Larry's case, he is highest. His most dominant trait is E for extroversion. The guy's got 2 mics. That's where I was going to do the joke. You could tell we rehearsed.
Surprise!
There he is. And then second is his assertiveness, which we can tell because not only does he have two mics, but he brought both mics. Larry does not have a lot of patience. He operates under some extreme urgency. And like me, his level of detail orientation is pretty low. You can see that I cut off the end of it here because that's how I roll. So that's Larry. So his gifts, his superpowers are going to be seen, especially on the dominant side. So now we're going to explore some of the other stuff. So, Will, I think this is the time in the show where you take over and you talk a little bit about some of the generic superpowers and traits. So why don't you have at it?
Thank you, John. Hello, Larry. For those of you who don't know, Larry and I have been friends and colleagues, and we've got history goes back a long time, about 20 years at this point. So thrilled to have you on here, my friend, not just because you're a dear, dear friend and my wife likes you more than me, but because you are spectacular at what you do. And I think that this will be really insightful for us to look at together. As John said, this is the generic kind of builder negotiator profile. So these superpowers are associated with anyone who's going to fall in that quadrant, Larry. They're not necessarily exactly about you, but of these superpowers, when you reviewed them, one of the things that you pointed out that you wanted to talk about a little bit was optimistic demeanor as something that spoke to you. We're not going to double click here, but would love for you to kind of share a little bit about that. I mean, for those of us who know you, I mean, optimism and glass half full comes with the territory.
Yeah, I mean, it had to. Well, I played baseball, which is a game of failure. If you're a 70% failure in baseball, someone's patting you on the back and you're going to the Hall of Fame. So you got to have that optimism. And I get that from my dad, rest in peace, who grew up in the projects of Baltimore City, surrounded by crime, by drugs, just a lot. And he was a glass 100% full kind of guy. So the optimistic demeanor really stood out with the generic traits that fall underneath.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Kryptonite. So, weaknesses when our superpowers are impacted by stress. One of the generic things that comes with this builder negotiator profile, which can be a hallmark kryptonite you picked, pleasing others, being a people pleaser. Talk about that just a little bit, please.
Yeah. Well, once again, it's crazy to think that our environment, and both of my parents work for Department of Veterans Affairs. So I saw them serving people and really people pleasing, which I learned. And I enjoy people pleasing, helping and serving, sometimes at the detriment of myself. And I'm working on it. Sometimes you got to just say no. And you got to prioritize yourself. These are some boxing gloves.
Yeah, we see that. He's ready to go.
Well, before we leave this slide, John, and we'll get into some of this deeper with Larry, but, both Mr. Long and I are, in sales and business development, kind of as a career construct. And when you choose that lifestyle, you get no a whole lot more than you get yes, right? I mean, that's that 70%, missing, and then, 30% hitting, and you're an all-star. So it feels so good to say yes sometimes that it's, because you get told no so often in the careers that we're in that you can fall into that hole pretty easily.
Yeah, sure. I love how you brought that together. Let's just move into the real stuff. So Larry gave us this a little bit before the call, but we'll dig in. Yeah,
so this segment is where the guest has looked at the OAD readout, kind of analyzed a lot of information and distilled that into some things that they want to talk about. What I love about Larry, without prompting, is the brevity of this page as compared to the next one, which is very content heavy on comments, but your personal superpowers, things that you liked, that you pulled out, that you agreed with, get into these 3 bullets a little bit here and what you saw in the results.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, it pretty much pegged me. We'll go from the bottom. We'll flip it up a little bit. The self-confidence. I was taught at an early age, you got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in just that talk track over and over. Now, I'm going to be honest. there's also another side to it. There's a voice in my head that tries to battle that self-confidence that says, no, Larry, you can't do that. Who do you think you are? But for the most part, I do view things with a self-confidence, with an optimistic demeanor. Number two, driving to be the best that I can be, that internal competitive spirit. I look back, I don't know if you remember the Atari, but we used to have Miss Pac-Man competitions between my mom, my dad, myself, and we would keep track of the high score. And I mean, when you're an 8-year-old kid, there were some tears because I hated to lose. But I'll never forget. I'll share this story real quick. My dad bet me $20. I didn't even have $20. I might have had $6.12 in my piggy bank. But he said, I bet you $20. You can't beat me. I said, hey, it's on like Donkey Kong. Ooh, we were on Miss Pac-Man. I whooped that behind.
Did you get the 20?
$20. He was so sour. Oh, goodness. But being that he was a competitor as well, he said, hey, I'll play you again. And he ended up beating me. I was crying. My mom was mad at him. My mom told me, don't you ever gamble. But it was
like the great Santini, but personalized.
In order to be the best, you got to beat the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, John.
We're going to move on. All right. I just want to say that the head trash, I think you called it earlier. Yeah. I think that's directly connected to the driving, because you're having this dialogue in your head. And when someone tells Larry Long he can't do something, guess what happens? He's going to do it. So I think that's, even though it's annoying, it can be a motivator. All right. This is the good stuff. So Will, dig in.
So as I said earlier on the last slide, I teased this one. Look at the content here in the self-analysis. I mean, Larry's in the business of coaching. He's a published author. He spends his professional time trying to help others be better, which means, he's got a gift for analysis and is not afraid to turn a lens on himself. So that's why he's such a great guest, particularly here. Larry, there's a lot. You looked at your Kryptonite. You were really, really deep and thoughtful about it. Hit us with some things here, and I'll probably interject and add some color as well.
Will and John, this is so timely because I've been doing a lot of reflecting on this past year, which is my first full year in business for myself as an entrepreneur. And we all know it's been a journey. There's been ups, downs, highs, lows, twists, and turns. And so often the greatest learnings come from those unsuccessful attempts. Some people call them failures. I call them learning. So it really stood out. People pleasing, that ties in with number two of saying yes to everything. Hey, Larry, can you do this? Hey, Larry, will you do this? Yes, 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 yes. I'm actually, by saying yes, I'm saying no to something else. And looking at it through that perspective and that lens has helped me to progress. I'm still on the people-pleasing side of the spectrum, but I'm slowly moving forward to realize that it can be a detriment to say yes to everything. And you've got to please yourself. You've got to please those priorities before you please some of the other, I'll just call it other stuff that's out there. Attention to detail. I just had this conversation with my good buddy, good friend, former boss, Corey Richardson. Because he always shared feedback with me, especially as a manager, sales manager. Hey, Larry, you're excellent when it comes to short term. When it comes to looking at short term, how do we hit goal today, this week, this month? The opportunity has always been, hey, Larry, let's look at it from a lens of next quarter, the next 3 quarters, having that longer term lens and really the analytical side of things. It's been a work in progress. I think they call that a WIP. The attention to details. I'm a go type of guy. Yeah. Details. But there's also knowing that the little things, those little details, are really the big things. I co-authored a book, and my chapter was called "The Little Things Are Really the Big Things." I wanted it to be called "The Little Things Are the Big Things." They said, if you want to talk like that, Larry, you got to write your own book. I said, okay, watch me.
Oh, my God. That's the high A. That's coming out. I love it.
Yeah, and then the last one, trusting my own judgment versus seeking others. I've always been a student. I mean, I take copious notes. I've got notebooks out the wazoo of notes that I've taken over the years. And I mean, Will, you and I have had many conversations. The last time it was at the Mexican spot in downtown Durham, where I'm always seeking advice, which is good. But the great thing is to take the advice, synthesize it, and ultimately make that decision on my own, which has been, I'll be honest with you, it's been a challenge. When you're in corporate America, a lot of times those decisions are made and they give you the game plan. You just have to execute on it. Well, as an entrepreneur, and even within corporate America, I see the benefit of taking what they give you, but sometimes you got to call an audible. Omaha. Sometimes you got to flip the script on what the play call is to make an entrepreneurial decision in the spirit of doing what's best for the organization as well as for the individuals and yourself. So trusting my own judgment has been a challenge. I invested in a coach. I've got a coach that helps hold me accountable, and she doesn't give me the answers. She challenges me and she guides me, but she pretty much says, hey, you've got to figure out what's best for you and your business and your family. So it's been a journey. This was awesome insight. And I enjoyed looking at both the superpowers, but really enjoyed looking at the kryptonite because I'm working on it. And yes, I'm always going to be a work in progress because I don't think you can if you ever get to a point where it's like, I made it, it's time for you to give up. It's time for you to just go ahead and retire. I don't think your
bar's not high enough, Larry, if you ever get there. So
two things, if I may, John, that Larry brought up that I want to push on just a little bit. So that the attention to detail piece and the trusting your own judgment. And I'm going to throw this at you in kind of a blob of questions. Going to have a couple tentacles on it, Larry. One, right? We get into business as entrepreneurs to do the things that we love. And then we find that all the detail required to be an entrepreneur takes you away from the things that you love, right? So how have you coped with that in that first year where, the making sure that you get your quarterly estimated tax payment in, or, did I remember to send that invoice, or what are my net, were the net terms 15 or 30? And, so how have the detail pieces of being an entrepreneur in the stressful situation of running a business in a year that's been like this, how has that attention to detail held you back or irritated you, or how have you overcome that? And then in the judgment piece, you're in the business of helping people elevate and get better. You're watching them and the way they behave and trying to say, hey, well, hold on a minute. That's really, that's what we're trying to work on. And are you capable, probably with your coach's help, of turning that lens on yourself? You can watch yourself making those decisions that you probably shouldn't make. You probably shouldn't wander into the pantry and get a cookie, but you're thinking about it all the way in there. Like, I don't need to do that. And then you put it in your mouth. So, the detail piece, I'd love to dig into just a little bit more in that judgment piece. Like, are you able to, when you're in stressful pressure situations, turn that lens on yourself and help yourself not do the things that you're coaching others not to do?
Yeah, this is timely again. I just had my 2023 planning call with my coach, and the paying attention to detail, it hasn't been good this year. I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, I've been a 4, and that's being generous because I've done it all. And there's power in doing it all, but there's also holding yourself back by doing those things that don't excite you, that aren't in your gifting. I recently made a transition to a new accountant. My other accountant was great, but I was looking for more, not hand-holding, but more understanding and more of them doing what they do best, which is the numbers. You talked about the quarterly estimated taxes. Don't tell Uncle Sam I'm coming, Uncle Sam. But it's been a mess. That's not my gifting. I still use my fingers to count. I'm also committed to exploring working with a virtual professional to help with the administrative things that aren't my strong suit, that are someone else's strong suit. And my coaches helped me to see, because before I felt like I had to do it all. This is my baby. No one else cares as much. My coach said, what if someone else can do it better than you? I said, uh-oh, mind blown. So it's something I'm working on, and just being aware that, hey, it's okay that everything isn't my superpower. When it comes to proposals and quotes, when it comes to scheduling travel, that's not my greatest gift. One of my greatest gifts is getting on stage or on the Zoom and talking. The other stuff, there's other folks that thrive at that. So that's how I'm thinking, to the attention to detail, acknowledging where I'm weak, and where I can have someone else support where they're strong. That's a great question. The second one, around trusting my own judgment. This year has been a year of reflection. And really, I've been working with my coach for a little over a year and a half now. What's up, Coach Kristen? Kristen Freyd is amazing because she constantly turns that mirror in front of my face and asks me to reflect on, why did I do what I did? One of the things I've learned is it comes down to commitments. I've had a tendency to overcommit because I think I'm Superman. Oh yeah, I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. And then when it comes to that deadline, I haven't done hardly anything. And the question is, am I really committed, or did I just say it because it sounded good?
Keeping yourself busy also. Sometimes people conflate busy with active or, something.
Yeah, I found that I've got to be more thoughtful about what am I truly committed to, and give myself grace that it's okay to not be committed to doing 20 things on a to-do list. It's okay to say, hey, I'm committed to doing these 3 very well, so that I can also be committed to being present with my kids for all their activities. My little man made it to the Little League, the Southeast Regional. I was there in Warner Robins, Georgia. Those are moments that you can never get back. So we actually, in our planning next year, one of my goals is to have these signature experiences. That's a goal. This year, we took a Disney cruise. That was a signature experience. Warner Robins, signature experience. I went on a bus tour, signature experience. And out of my 12 signature experiences, I want 5 of them to be inclusive of my family. Cool. So essentially, going to a conference in Orlando in July, my wife is going to be there as we celebrate number 17, our 17th anniversary.
Very nice.
I would like to bring the kids. She said, nope, we're leaving the kids with your mom. This is our time.
Everyone's happy.
Exactly. So it's really being mindful, being thoughtful, being deliberate, being consistent, being committed, and having that discipline. Hey, Will, how did you know? Are you watching me? I was about to go get a marshmallow and a piece of chocolate before I hopped on, but I said, no, Larry. I want to attorney trying to get you gotta
get ready for Orlando weight. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's next? Larry? Who should be on the show?
I had to think long and hard about it, but definitely a great colleague of mine, Sherri McManus. She's doing amazing work out there, coaching, training individuals and organizations. You can find her on LinkedIn. And then a good buddy of mine, a new good buddy of mine, Jim Packard, coming in from Arizona. He's out there talking about consistency. We had a really good chat, and I think both Sherri and Jim would be amazing next guests. They're on the clock.
Love it. Will, are you surprised that Larry gave us 2?
No. I mean, and he's got 3 microphones. When he first started this business as an entrepreneur, he had 1. Now he's got 3. I don't know how many. He'll have a whole bouquet before he's done.
Larry, it has been an awesome pleasure to have you. I know you can go on forever in a good way. We're going to try to respect your time, get you back to that list. Will, you want to button anything?
No, this was as natural and free-flowing as I expected it to be, and Larry's willingness to self-analyze and share, and his openness It's been a hallmark of his success and our friendship for as long as I can remember. So this was great. Thank you, Mr.
Larry. Thank you. We'll see you out there. Bye, everybody. Have a good week.
Bye, Larry.